Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Dream Big interview series. My name is Rachel Petero, and I'm delighted to begin the Dream Big interview series with my guest today, which is the lovely Inta Sellick. Good morning, Inta.
Good morning, Rachel. I'm delighted to be here.
Great. And Inta joins us from sunny Adelaide in Australia. And the reason I'm excited to be with Inta this morning, I'm making this call from Qatar, so this is a global initiative. And this month, in the month of May, is International Coaching Week. So I'm really delighted to be able to interview 7 super coaches across the globe. And I'm starting with Inta from Australia. So let me give you a quick intro about Inta. We've connected through the International Coaching Federation. Inta is a professional certified coach. She's also the president of the South Australia branch for International Coaching Federation. And she's the founder of her own business. And integrated learning and development is what Inta does. It's part of her way of life. And it's just, we've been building up to this for a while. So I am really delighted to have Inta with us this morning. So, Inta, how are you feeling this morning?
Well, I'm feeling very excited and a bit of anxiety because it's such a great initiative, Rachel, and, really want to make it a success. So, here we go and here we are. Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
And I'd just like to share with everyone, before we started this interview, Inta was very kind enough to show me outside her window with jumping kangaroos, and we'd love to show you as well. If they come closer, we'll definitely change the camera view. So, Inta, what was your initial, inspiration for wanting to join the Dream Big interview series as one of my 7 super coaches?
Rachel, it was really... Your approach to me was extraordinary, and when I read the background and we spoke, it was, I think you personify what coaches do. There's just such a generosity of spirit, and what you're doing for International Coach Week to get the word out there, I thought was actually a fantastic idea, and so I'm very privileged that you've actually asked me, and so thank you very much. Yeah.
So, Inta, it's it is my honour to be connected with coaches like yourself, and one of the reasons that I wanted to connect with you, along with my other 6 super coaches, is that I really I connected with you, and I connected with you because what I saw or what I heard in terms of the video that you've done for the credentialing legacy series is a real person who has achieved, what you set out to achieve. And the Dream Big interview series is really about, connecting with coaches who have set themselves goals, who have set themselves dreams and actually have realized them. So let's just start with your journey, Inta. How did you get into coaching?
My background is in training and development, and I saw for a long time that what was missing was people, from whatever they learned in their training or programs they were going through, that it was the one-to-one conversations, and we didn't know it was called coaching back then, and probably actually wasn't, Rachel. It was probably all of the things. But then it was a friend of mine, a colleague, who just said, look, I've heard of this thing called coaching. And so I explored that, because that's the thing that made the difference. When people were going through, and it's not only if they've been in training or programs of any kind, it's even in their own lives, to have someone that was outside of them. Friends are lovely, but it was something else that was the methodology, and then having that one-to-one, and when there's an accountability that takes place, then whether it's a training program or whether it's an intention that we have for our lives, that's where it makes the difference. When you have to be accountable to someone, or you choose to be accountable to someone outside yourself, it makes a huge difference. Whether it taps into this motivation, I think, and a whole lot of other things in our being.
Right. And then you started on your journey of obviously opening your own consultancy and starting your own business. And what was that like, Inta?
Terrifying. Our sons were quite young at that time, so for me it was about having providing a lifestyle that was going to meet what was important for me, and what was important for me was to be able to have that flexibility to be around for my boys when they got home from school and all those sorts of things. And then it evolved from there, really, and it was a case of, when I began coaching, it provided me that flexibility, but more importantly, I think it was aligned with my values and what really mattered.
Mm. So starting your own business and starting the coaching journey, what made you connect with the ICF?
Because there was one person, a colleague of mine, who was doing some assessor work through ICF. And I didn't even really know what ICF was, but I can just remember in all my conversations with her, whenever she talked about coaching, I just knew there was just something there that I didn't quite get that was really different. And she talked about core competencies. And that's when I thought, okay, there's a lot here I clearly don't know, and that has the magic to it too. That she was getting results, and how she spoke of it just so passionately, I thought, I want to be part of that. I think that's how it came. I thought, okay, this is it. Yeah.
And do you remember, Inta, your first client?
Oh, I do. I'd rather not, I think. No, that's not quite true. There was many first clients, I think, in my whole, to be honest, when I look back, I'm very grateful for my first clients, and coaching has evolved since then. I started off getting my ACC, which is the Associate Certified Coach. I would have started that journey back in 2007, so it was quite a time ago. And I think my first client was, I think I still did a lot of telling and directing, to be quite honest. But we got there in the end. I think it was probably a bit of consulting come coaching, but it was okay.
And I think that's a really important thing to point out for maybe potential coaches, is that we're not perfect at the beginning. Yeah, I have exactly the same story, that when you're starting your journey, your credentialing journey, ACC, PCC, is that it's not all perfect from the beginning, but it evolves. Your technique evolves, your style evolves. So what would be your advice to new potential coaches into looking to start this journey?
Oh, there's a few things. I think be clear about what kind of coaching you want, what's your field of speciality that you want to get into, and then choose the school or the academy that you go through. Do your homework, choose it carefully, make sure it's got the right accreditation to get to where you want to go, because I know too, as a mentor coach, and I do a lot of work in that space of shared best practice in the community, and there's some disappointing stories out there that I hear, and I think we invest so much of our time and energy and passion to find that perhaps it isn't the right learning for you. So my advice is that as we're evolving, I encourage anyone to go for a credential, because just through the process of getting the credential means that you need to go through coach-specific training, you need to get a mentor, you need to log your hours, and it's through that you also got to provide a couple of recordings, and it's the assessors that give you the feedback that it's just worth every bit of it. Their feedback is fantastic. And I remember one of the ones that the comments I got back from ACC was, don't stack your questions. And I didn't even realise I was stacking questions. I don't think I even knew what the concept was, to be quite honest. But there was a whole lot of little tips they gave, and they were really affirming too. So I got to see, what were my strengths, but I also got to see what I still needed to learn. And it was fantastic. That worth every bit.
Great. And I know that you've just recently come back from the Global Leaders Forum for ICF. Yes. And so I wanted to really ask you if you'd be kind enough to share that experience, because you shared it with me. I believe it was 170 coaches all came to Atlanta.
That's it, yeah. 170 coaches who are presidents or on the leadership teams of their chapters, and there was 56 different chapters from all around the world. And I'm a bit lost for words, really, because it's what I got to see was that if they'd sent us home after the first 5 hours, I would have been really happy. But we had 3 wonderful days where you've got coaches coming together, everyone who was in a volunteer capacity in their roles. So they were there very much for how can we improve this profession? How can we give to our members? How can we give to the community? And we had coaches from all over the world, and I really got to see that we are truly connected globally, and there's this very, very large professional association. It's the largest professional association for coaches there, and the way it's the 20th anniversary year for ICF this year, and that was one of the reasons they brought us all to Atlanta, because where are we going now? Where are we going to be for the next 5-10 years? And they see us as being the leaders of the future for ICF. And indeed, with the sharing of resources and information, and just generally the connection for us to go anywhere in the world to be welcome. And I know for my leadership team, I've said to them, who do you want to be connected with? And there's a few of them travelling. And so that, they've gone over to the UK, they've gone to Switzerland, they've, met up with coaches and the ICF over there, and they're going to be guest speakers or just be part of the chapter. And it's wonderful,
Wow.
It really is.
Great. And were there any real inspiring stories that you heard at that conference that you thought, wow, in terms of coaching and, what people have achieved in their chapters or their regions? Was there anything that really touched you when you were there in Atlanta?
Yeah, I think it's the gift we give in coaching. And I think it was Argentina and 2 women there who were the president and vice presidents. They won an award, but in talking to them individually, and what they've done is I think one of the challenges a lot of new coaches have is, where do I get my coaching hours from? And so volunteer coaching is a great way to do that. I did that myself. It gives you, not only sets you up with the hours, but it gives you confidence, but also it gives you this breadth and depth of experience, because often you're in some really tricky coaching situations. Not always, but anyway, the 2 women from Argentina, they were wonderful. They've actually set up volunteer coaching for the Ronald McDonald House. So the coaches there will be coaching the parents of children who are recovering from illness. And what a gift that is to give to community support. And there were many stories like that. And a lot of them really came from this volunteer coaching. And it's such a gift when, we talk about in coaching, helping humanity flourish, and that's ICF's vision. And that's exactly what happens. It really does. And I think when we give like that, I think we often think that we're going to, we can be such a help, but we get so much more in return. We really do. It's
absolutely, wonderful. Absolutely. And I believe this coaching profession, it's growing across the world. I've been reading a lot of articles about how coaching can be unique to you, and you can grow your coaching business based on what your talents are. So if you are talented in fitness and health, you can be a fitness and health and wellness coach. If you are like you, Inta, where you are training and development, leadership, learning, then that's your coaching business. But isn't it amazing that you can build your coaching business around you?
Oh, absolutely. And what I'm doing now is my area of focus is to teach coaching skills. So like manager as coach, for example, because those leaders who coach are the leaders of the future. They really are.
Absolutely. So one of the other initiatives, and I know, I'm really excited to hear your story about the World Youth Initiative that you're involved in Adelaide. So please tell us more about that.
Very quickly, World Youth International is an Adelaide-based not-for-profit organisation, and they send teams of people to developing countries like Kenya, Nepal, Peru and Cambodia, and they'll work in the villages. They'll live and work there. And traditionally, it's been, over the years, it's been young people going, but now they've opened up to a lot of age groups, and in particular at the moment they're sending nurses. It's called Nurses in Action program over to Kenya. So I've been very much involved with coaching the team leaders, and there's been a number of other coaches that have been as well. But there's a group of them going over to Kenya again, but they need to raise $15,000, and there's a TV series that's on commercial TV that is actually going to be following them. So they've set up a challenge for them, and what we've done in here in South Australia and Victoria, we've teed up credentialed coaches to coach or those on the credentialing pathway. So we're really wanting coaches who are really skilled and trained in coaching, and so they'll be supporting these 10 participants by coaching them to achieve their goals. Which will in turn help further set up the hospital in a little village called Odede in Kenya.
Wow. And so what phase are you at the moment? Have they started the whole coaching process with the team leaders?
They've started the coaching. The coaches all flew over to Melbourne, those that weren't living there. They've matched up the coaches with the participants. Myself and a colleague will be supervising the coaches. And the filming starts in October, November this year, and then it will go to air, I think, early next year sometime. So it's really exciting, yeah, and we'll be doing more of that in the future.
Great. Wow. As I said before, Inta, if I can be involved in any way and support you, I'd love to be involved. It sounds like an amazing initiative.
Yeah, well, you will be involved. You'll be meeting one of our coordinators. I believe she's flying to Doha to meet with you. Yeah, how wonderful.
Yeah. How small is this world?
Wonderful, isn't it? Yeah, and there's so many wonderful initiatives to be had. There really is. The world really needs good coaches. There's no doubt about that. And the ICF, I think, is one of the ways that really we show and demonstrate that we are professional coaches, because one of the big challenges that we've got at the moment as we're going forward, and as you said, the coaching profession is growing and it's maturing really quickly. And globally, the challenge is, well, how do we differentiate ourselves from so many people who are untrained and yet are calling themselves coaches? And don't get me wrong, there are so many really good coaches out there, perhaps who aren't credentialed. But as we go forward and look ahead, how do we say to industry or those who are selecting coaches, well, which is the best coach for me? And I think as the marketplace becomes more savvy, and it quickly is, I'm seeing that in organisations now, in coaching panels, for example, they'll be really clear about, well, what qualifications. Can't get away with it quite so easily these days, I don't think. Importantly, I think it's that process of getting the credentialing that develops your own skills and really, really hones them to a level that I'm not sure where else you can get that level of professionalism.
And I would totally agree with you, Inta. I've been coaching and mentoring as well before I did the credentialing process. And, I've just learned so much from the rigor, from the network of triad coaching, from the mentoring groups. I mean, whether you're a coach, a coachee, or an observer in the triad groups, the learning that you get from doing that, and in a very short time, 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it can be really confronting, because I know when I first went into that, I thought, oh my goodness, but you soon get over that. And there's just such a generosity of spirit and heart that comes from all the coaches. And when you have that opportunity to be in those triads, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And the other thing I heard you say, sorry to interrupt you, Rachel, but all good coaches also have coaches of their own and supervisors too. But yeah, and I heard you talking earlier about your coach, and yeah, it's an important element is if you're going to be a coach, be coached.
Absolutely, and I think that's a real, for me as well, as a key message, is that by being coached, you become a better coach because you are seeing it from your client's perspective.
Yeah, you do, and you get the real experience of it. It's, you know, and until you've experienced it and know how perhaps a question lands for you, it just brings a whole new range of awareness, and I think sensitivities to the responsibility that we have when we're coaching somebody else.
Yes, and holding our clients in the highest regard. Yeah, good. And so, Inta, thank you for sharing sort of, you know, how you started getting into the, you know, getting and setting up your business, you know, the global initiatives that you have been, you know, a part of in terms of ICF, and then your own global initiative with the World Youth Initiative. So what's next? What's next for Inta?
Oh, my focus this year is, as president in ICF South Australia, is to really be able to offer the best we can to grow our coaches here and to grow the profession, to give them the opportunity, the credentialing, the benchmark is lifting the whole time, and we've got to meet that. We've got to meet the challenge. ICF are now saying that anyone who wants to be on the leadership team needs to be credentialed because we need to model that. Yeah, as it's growing. So yeah, that's my challenge, is to help coaches spread their coaching wings. That's what it is, and in doing that, I will too.
I love that. Coaches spreading their coaching wings.
Absolutely. And we need to step out of our comfort zones, because that's, you know, that's where we grow. That's where the magic happens. And I'd encourage any coach to do that. You know, get into volunteer coaching, you know, be part of this amazing professional organisation. There is, and I think a lot of coaches often would be in their own businesses, and it can be a really lonely journey, and it doesn't need to be. There is a great community of coaches out there, and be part of it. That's my recommendation. Learn from them. They're very generous, and you know, there are opportunities for shared best practice. You know, learn lots of different models, have a play with it, and just keep growing.
Yeah, great. And I think, you know, thank you for sharing your dream big goals for 2015, and I believe it would be beyond 2015. And, you know, what I will be doing in terms of the interview process is International Coaching Week is the 18th to the 24th of May this year. So for our listeners, I will be releasing a video each day of International Coaching Week. So you'll get to, people will be able to connect with you, Inta, via your website, and I'll share all of that information when we market the interviews. And so from my heart to you, Inta, I really want to say how proud I feel for both of us, actually, for completing our first Dream Big interview together, and how honoured, you know, I am to be part of your circle of coaches and being connected with you. And also thank you to ICF for connecting us. I think that's a real privilege to be able to connect into them, and for them to be supporting us to build coaching networks globally. So, Inta, on that note, what have you got for the rest of your day, evening in Adelaide?
I've got some coaching clients I'm going to be seeing, so I've got to get onto that. But before I go, I just want to say thanks, Rachel. You're such an inspiration, and to be producing a series like this will be an inspiration to so many other coaches. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And for all of our listeners, we'll be marketing and you'll get all of the details via email. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of Dream Big interview series. And we look forward to connecting again soon. Thanks, Inta. See you. Bye.
Bye.